All right. So up next is Robbie, and if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I did Stefan's video before this because I basically said he was like a mini Robbie going all in on running back. So I'll just say this at the very beginning. I think Robbie had a better draft than Stefan, but I think his wide receivers are worse. But that's okay. So Robbie's going to do collect all the running backs like Pokemon. We know this. So starting things off, number 22, Dalvin Cook, $71. Whew. Okay, so what was the top player? Jonathan Taylor went for 75. You're spending 71 on Dalvin Cook. I mean, Dalvin Cook has been one of the top backs in fantasy for the last few years, but durability has always been kind of a question mark. He missed 4 games last year. I don't know why he was at the top of your list. I suppose if we're looking at things, the Vikings do have Kevin O'Connell, who was the Rams offensive coordinator, now as their head coach. So maybe you're hoping for like a Todd Gurley-like season. But I don't think he's going to get as much of a rushing workload as he's gotten the last few years. Just because, I mean, Mike Zimmer was running him in the ground. And Alexander Madison's a good player. I don't know why he doesn't get more touches. So, if I'm being honest, I think Alexander Madison's around the same level of talent as Dalvin Cook. But don't tell anybody that. Anyway, yeah, I think last year he only had 6 touchdowns. So I don't think he'll get his 11. What he had 1,159 yards last year. So I don't think he'll get that many yards rushing. I don't think he'll get as many carries, but he did miss 4 games, so maybe he'll only miss like 2, and he'll maybe get 1,100 yards rushing. But you're in for touchdown regression, so 10 touchdowns, and you'll probably get more receiving. So especially with Kevin O'Connell, so maybe this time you get like 45, 50 receptions and 375 receiving. So is he a number one running back? Yeah, obviously. When he stays healthy, he's tremendous and he gets the workload. But the time missed can't be ignored. I think there were better deals at running back, so I'm interested to see why you went on Dalvin Cook with 71. Like Najee Harris is 61, Alvin Kamara is 69, Jonathan Taylor is 75, Chris McCaffrey was 65, Derrick Henry was 67. I don't see what you see that I would pick Dalvin Cook over all of those guys, spend $71 on Dalvin Cook over all of those guys. I just don't, like, I'd rather just take Jonathan Taylor for 75 than take Dalvin Cook for 71. Like, what's the $4? So I don't know, very remiss beginning. After that, 51 overall, Patrick Mahomes, $9. I mean, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is tremendous. Last year was a bit of a down year. He was only 5th best quarterback in fantasy, but, you know, he's thrown for at least 37 touchdowns 3 of the last 4 years. And he's a former MVP. Tyreek Hill's gone, but, you know, he's still, I mean, people forget, like, he still runs the ball quite a bit. He had close to, like, 400 yards rushing. I think he'll get, again, close to 400 yards rushing. I think he'll throw for 37, 38 touchdowns. I think he'll have 4,500 yards passing, 3 touchdowns rushing. I think they'll have, I mean, it's a pass-heavy offense. Losing Tyreek's not ideal. I don't exactly know who's going to start where. It's funny, actually, we'll mention this. The Packers are kind of doing to Aaron Rodgers what the Chiefs are doing to Patrick Mahomes, or just like all Aaron Rodgers and all Patrick Mahomes, because when you look at all the weapons around them, I guess Mahomes technically has Kelsey, which is the best among all of them, but like Marquez Valdes-Scantling leaves Green Bay and goes to Kansas City, and Kansas City has McCole Hardman, and Green Bay has Randall Cobb, and Kansas City has Juju Smith-Schuster, and Green Bay has Allen Lazard. So like 2 teams that heavily invest in their MVP quarterbacks and have like very little receiving help. I guess Green Bay, if Kansas City has Travis Kelce. Green Bay has Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But still, I mean, $9 for Patrick Mahomes is good. I think all of the quarterbacks in our league ought to go for more, but that's a great deal. 58th pick, Ramondre Stevenson, $15. I mean, I talked about this a little bit on Steffens. He got, Damian Harris for $7? I think Stevenson's the better player. I understand that they might be running Damian Harris more, but Josh McDaniels is gone. I don't exactly know what the offense is going to look like in New England, but Stevenson actually catches the ball. I think he's and James White is gone, and Brandon Bolden's gone, and they cut J.J. Taylor, so he's gone too. So I think Stevenson's in for a big year. I don't know if he'll get as many goal line touches, which is the thing. Harris got 15 last year, 15 touchdowns. I think Stevenson will eat into that, but I still think Harris is probably going to get 11 touchdowns. So maybe Stevenson gets 7 touchdowns rushing, and maybe he only gets 150 carries, and that turns into 700 yards rushing. But I think he gets 40 to 50 receptions and just soaks that up. And that's really where the deal comes in, because if he's getting 700 yards rushing and 350, 400 yards receiving, that's 1,000-yard running back. And, if he scores receiving, even better. So $15 from Ramondre Stevenson, good deal. He is the receiving back in New England now, and I think he's the most talented back in New England now. I thought he was the most talented back last year, but, what do I know? So, yeah, no, I like that deal a lot. 72 overall, $7. Kareem Hunt, talked about it already. Miles Sanders, Antonio Gibson, Kareem Hunt. Those were some of the best deals in our league and a running back. The only thing is, with Deshaun Watson suspended for 11 games, it's the Jacoby Brissett show, which means there's going to be a lot of work for Chubb and Hunt, maybe more work for Chubb than Hunt because they'll run the ball more, and Hunt's more of the pass-catching back. But he has really elite efficiency, and he catches the ball a lot. So if Stevenson's getting 50 receptions, I think Hunt's getting 50 receptions, and I think Hunt's getting 400 yards receiving and probably 3 touchdowns. So maybe 500 yards rushing. But again, $7 for a 1,000-yard running back is really good, especially in our league. So we got Stevenson for 15, Kareem Hunt for 7. I'm just kind of it's again, people watch me during the draft. I'm look at what Robbie's doing with the running backs. Look at what Brian's doing with the receivers. Come on, guys. Really? It's not hard. We know who's good at drafting. You can just watch them. Anyway, I think Hunt will be top 35 running back. I don't want to say top 30 only because with Jacoby Brissett, I think they run the ball more with Chubb. But $7 on Kareem Hunt, that's one of the best deals in our draft. That was nuts. 77 overall, spent $5, Drake London. Okay. So, this is gonna be the kind of controversial part. Do I think Drake London will probably be the best rookie wide receiver? In all likelihood, yeah, probably. But at the same time, is $5 for Drake London pretty good? Yeah, that's pretty good price. He's the number one. He had, 88 receptions, 1,084 yards last year at USC before getting hurt. The only thing is the Falcons are a run-heavy offense. Calvin Ridley wasn't great last year until he got hurt. I guess I can't really argue with the $5. I see London more as a wide receiver 3 flex guy, and he's your number 1. But, that's a really good price on him. We'll get to the, controversy later. But, 900 yards receiving, 4 or 5 touchdowns. And you might say, it's well, Dylan, there's no one else to compete for targets, and someone's got to score. And my rebuttal to that would be, who's going to score? Because the Falcons aren't good. Cordero Patterson, was basically the offense last year, and they had Kyle Pitts, and now I guess you're bringing in London, who will get target share, but they still didn't score a lot. There's only so many touchdowns to go around for a bad team, unless suddenly someone is going to tell me that Marcus Mariota is an upgrade over Matt Ryan with that awful offensive line, which, if someone wants to tell me that, I will politely tell them that that's their opinion, and their opinion is wrong, but they're entitled to it. Anyway, Drake London, good player. It's more like a flex play. He's your number one receiver. I don't mind it for the price. $5 is good. 81 overall, $5, Lamar Jackson. Look, I like Lamar Jackson. He was the MVP for me. I think he's terrific. He's going to lead the league in rushing. He could be the number one fantasy quarterback. He was injured for part of last year, which was unfortunate. It happens to running quarterbacks. He did lose Marquise Brown, but he's still in the middle of his prime. You can't beat $5. I will sneak in this little tidbit, though. I am happy, Robbie, that you always do this. You always take 2 quarterbacks. And in our league that doesn't value quarterbacks, I'm actually happy that you take 2 quarterbacks. Because every year you do this thing where you take these 2 quarterbacks and you're like, oh, this quarterback's going to be great, or oh, this guy's going to be good. You did it with Mr. Trubisky. You do it with Trey Lance last year. I mean, these are the 2 best quarterbacks you've gotten, so I'll give you that. But to be completely honest, you drive up a hard bargain on these quarterbacks. Like, you overvalue them. Like, yeah, okay, this quarterback is really good. I think Lamar Jackson's great. I think he'll probably average, 21 points a game at quarterback, okay? But, if Trey Lance is averaging 19.5 points per game, and he's, the number, we'll say he's the 10th best quarterback, and Lamar Jackson's the 4th best quarterback. That is a point and a half. And you're probably going to demand some sort of wide receiver too, like a Terry McLaurin, or I guess on my team a DJ Moore for Lamar Jackson. And that makes no sense at all, because you don't look at the comparison at quarterback. You just look at the single individual at quarterback, and you say, well, Lamar Jackson's an MVP, and he's playing really great. And I'll be like, yeah, that's true, but I can also just pick up a quarterback for free on free agency, and that guy will be fine. And the difference in drop-off between DJ Moore and guy on free agency is huge. The difference between Lamar Jackson and guy on free agency is smaller. Cost. So, all of this is to say, yeah, you got a deal for Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, but I'll be surprised if you're able to trade either of them, because you usually overvalue your quarterbacks. And I mean, honestly, I make more trades in a year than you make in your whole career. I think I went back. You've only made 4 trades. No, that's not true. You've made 3 trades. You've made 3 trades in 9 years. So maybe you trade Lamar Jackson. And if you do and you get price, cool. But I mean, for me, I was happy to see you take Lamar Jackson, because that means you're going to eat up a bench slot for probably the whole season on a backup quarterback. I like that for me. So, yeah, all of that's to say, I do like Lamar. He'll probably run for 1,000 yards. He'll probably throw for 3,000 yards. Probably throw for 25 touchdowns. Maybe run for 5, 6 touchdowns. He's a really good player. I think he accounted for 43 touchdowns during his MVP year in 2019. So probably not as much, just because more teams are leading into the box. But he does get J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards back, so hopefully they won't be keying in on him as much. I think he needs to develop again a bit more as a passer, but we care about the rushing, and I love Lamar. Lamar's great. I think it's a great deal for him. I just think you do this thing every year with the quarterbacks, and you try and sell us on it, and I'm just kind of yeah, your quarterbacks are good, but this is the first time where you've actually gotten 2 elite quarterbacks, and I'll be interested to see if you're actually able to trade one, because you usually you want too high a price for either of them, and you're just stuck with them, or you cut them. So, 82 overall, we took Travis Etienne. Again, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and Stefan was kind of like a mini you. So Stefan took Damian Harris, you took Ramondre Stevenson, Stefan later takes James Robinson, you take Travis Etienne. So You spent 29 on Travis Etienne. You really wanted him. On talent, I like Travis Etienne. There's a lot that I would want to know more about. Is it a good deal for a running back? Yeah, probably in our league. He's got a lot of talent. He can really pass catch. I mean, he had, over 6,000 yards when he was at Clemson between all the catches and all the rushes. So, and he has the rapport with Trevor Lawrence too. But I don't love that O-line. I don't really know what kind of offense Doug Peterson's running in Jacksonville. And I don't think Doug Peterson's ever had like 1,000-yard rusher. Like, he had Miles Sanders all those years, and he didn't do it. And I remember, God, we're going back like deep. Yeah, Doug Peterson he does committees. So I think you get 700 yards rushing. I think you probably get 400 yards receiving, which makes him a top 25 running back. So for $29, right around what he's worth. He's really good at breaking tackles. I think he'll get around 6 touchdowns. I think this is a good pick. I like Travis Etienne. He's a terrific player. Really fast. Actually, we just watched his brother at Florida tonight. But yeah, no, I like him a lot. 91 overall, $19. Dameon Pierce. I mean, I know you're really high on Dameon Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce, but there's only like so much. I guess I'll say this. At the price you got him for, 19, I think is worthy of what he is. Because someone has to, run the ball in Houston, and Houston's offensive line finally isn't like awful. It's like okay. So he's going to have a major role. I think Rex Burkhead is going to like be the passing down guy. But yeah, I see like close to 900 yards rushing and maybe 150 yards receiving. So another 1,000-yard running back, 6 touchdowns. So Stefan kind of did the thing where he took the low end running backs and you took like the high end running backs. You obviously have more upside with your running backs. So like Etienne, Pierce, Stevenson, all running backs I really like, all running backs who have a lot of talent, all running backs on the upswing, all young guys. So I think all the prices for them are good. But this is kind of where I guess we're getting to like the controversy I have with your team. So we'll just skip down to like 107 with Allen Lazard with $10. So Allen Lazard's like the highest amount you spent on a wide receiver. And you spent $10 on him. He's never had a top 45 wide receiver campaign despite playing with Aaron Rodgers. I think he had a career high mark in targets, receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns last year, which was like 40 receptions, 513 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns? 8 touchdowns. Devontae Adams is gone, so there's a massive amount of target share there. But it's not like Lazard's going to come in and take all of that target share himself. He's not that good, if I'm being totally honest. So, like, what? Devontae Adams had 123 receptions last year, and Lazard had 40. So, like, how many of those receptions do we really think Allen Lazard are going to Allen Lazard? I mean, yeah, the rest of the talent around the team ain't great. Like, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, I don't know what to make of. He's a rookie second-round pick. Romeo Doubs is a dart throw. I mean, Amari Rodgers. But if I'm being totally honest, the reason why I took him, I think a lot of those receptions are going to the running backs. I think A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are who's going to soak up that time because the receivers suck. So, yeah, I think Lazard, 65 catches, 750 yards. That's probably, like, I think maybe he'll get around the same round touchdowns, like 7-8 touchdowns. But you're probably expecting like a 1,000-yarder season. But I kind of look at Lazard the same way I look at Juju, only with less upside, just because I've seen Lazard enough where I don't see the upside. At least Juju, to his credit. I mean, it was 2018, so it's a long time ago. But Juju has a 1,400-yard season on his resume. I can see where it's just like, okay, once upon a time, you had this incredible season. You have the talent. I've never seen that from Lazard, ever. So I think you're getting like 65, 70 catches, so which is more, almost double. Like 80 would be double. So around there, you're getting a lot more, I guess, quite a bit more catches. And, 750 yards is 250 more yards than he's ever had. 200 and what? God, I'm doing math late night. 238 yards more than he's ever had because he's had 513 last year. The point is, the issue I have with your team is you had $9 at the end left over, and even if I overlook like all of the running backs that you did, which I do like the running backs, you could have used that $9 to get like a good receiver. Like you didn't need to I like a $5 Drake London, and I think Lazard at $10 isn't like a bad bet. But like really, we could have just like used the $10 on Lazard and the $9 to like, I don't know. Tyler Lockett went for like $4, man. Like Elijah Moore went for like $10. I just feel like for all the research you do on running backs, you don't do any of that research on wide receivers like at all. Like hell, if we'll just go by Justin's breakout receivers and just look at them. So let's see. Allen Robinson went for 15. Rashad Bateman went for 17. DeAndre Hopkins went for 9. Kadarius Toney went for 8. Chris Olave went for 8. I would take like almost any of those guys over Lazard. Like, actually, you know what? Not almost. I would take all of those guys over Lazard. Even Olave, who is like a rookie receiver for New Orleans. I don't know what to make of Jameis Winston. At least they got an O-line. At least I know they're going to pass a lot. Like, I guess the Packers are going to pass a lot, but it's still, I've never seen Lazard do it. He's not that great. I mean, he's good at blocking, so he'll be on the field, but he isn't good at catching the ball. So I think that's really my biggest concern with your team, obviously. You usually punt at wide receiver, and then you kind of figure it out throughout the season. But you're going to have a hard time training your quarterbacks. And then on top of that, unlike last year, when you really did have good receivers like Brandon Cooks or even your championship year, this year it's tough. I mean, you got Dalton Schultz for $2. I mean, that's a good deal. You got him at, what, 113, so $2 for Dalton Schultz. Schultz was, top 3 tight end last year, and now Amari Cooper's gone. So he'll have, he had 63 catches, 615 yards receiving. No, 808, 800 yards receiving last year. He had a real breakout. I think he'll get around the same level. I don't know if he'll have as many touchdowns. Honestly, I think Tony Pollard is the one who's going to get more touchdowns, but that's beside the point. So maybe around 800 yards, maybe around 6 touchdowns, which makes him, roughly like a wide receiver, 3. So he's a starter for you, and that's a good price for getting a starter. And then we got, Alexander Madison, who's the handcuff to Dalvin Cook. Yeah, you were talking about, look, the Vikings might be trading Alexander Madison. That wouldn't be because someone wants Alexander Madison. That would be because the Vikings really like Ty Chandler, who was their third-string running back in Minnesota. That's why they didn't sign Alexander Madison to a extension. But don't believe me, that's fine. It's whatever. I do like Madison. I think he's a good talent. He's your handcuff. So maybe 500 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns, 150 yards receiving. Good player. Back end, we got Treylon Burks. Okay, so here's the thing. How much did we spend on Treylon Burks? We spent $5 on Treylon Burks. I'm going to just be honest. Treylon Burks is bad. So you might like him. That's fine. You can argue with me. That's cool. This was a waste of money. We'll just look at it from a macro standpoint. The Titans aren't good enough offensively to support 2 receivers. They traded for Robert Woods, who they say is the number 1, and he's healthy. Treylon Burks hasn't been playing with the number 1s. He came to camp out of shape. He isn't even on the depth chart, he's the number 4 receiver right now because Kyle Phillips took the slot job and there's someone else at the number 2 receiver because he kept having drops and he's having a hard time wearing the playbook. I think the Titans made a mistake when they drafted him in the first round. I think you spending $5 on Burks, $5 is not much. But again, at this point in the draft, I'm like, you're sitting on this amount of money. Why don't you just like take some upside? I suppose you think that Burks has upside, but in like the run heaviest offense in the NFL, I'm not sure how much upside is there. I guess if Woods is out and you think Burks has the talent and you think he's the number one and all the stars align, he could break out. But yeah, this was always my thing with A.J. Brown. I liked A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was like a top 20 receiver, but he was still stuck in a run-heavy offense. Treylon Burks is stuck in the run-heavy offense, and he's not even on the field. Like, at least, to your credit, you drop Russell Gage because, like, I mean, Julio and Chris Godwin's going to come back soon and all of that. I mean, Gage has been hurt too, but his ceiling's kind of limited with, like, Julio and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans all around. So at least you dropped in for Jahan Dotson, who I do like and is talented and is the number 2 receiver on Washington next to Terry McLaurin. I don't like Carson Wentz. But the point I think I have is the overarching point. You have, of your 5 pass catchers, 3 of them are rookies, 3 of them are first-round rookies, and I really only like 1 of them. I'm not really sure why you waited so... I mean, I know you were camping on some of the running backs, like you were waiting to take ETN, for example, but we'll ignore the running backs. We'll say after Pierce, right? So you have, like, you've gotten Pierce, yeah? And you spend $3 on a linebacker, $2 on a safety, $10 on Lazard, $2 on a linebacker, $2 on Schultz, $5 on Madison, and $5 on Burks. So we'll put away the $5 for Madison. We'll just kind of put that away. You still have the extra $9 left over. I don't know why at this point you didn't go for, like, whatever the best receiver was. Like, I don't understand. Because, like, these rookie receivers, it's been 9 years. Like, you're not great at finding the breakout receivers. Like, I'm good at it. You're not. And it's okay. I'm not saying that to, like, oh, well, you're just talking crap about my team. Da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make to you is that, like, it's okay to, like, change a little bit. It's okay to, like, grow and flourish. So, like, you know, rookie receivers have a hard time. Yeah. For every Justin Jefferson, there's also, like, I don't know, a Jalen Reagor. So, I think Treylon Burks is Jalen Reagor. Spoiler alert. I like Dotson, but I just don't really understand why we didn't get some of the younger, or maybe not even younger, some more guaranteed receivers. There were good receivers for good deals. Like, if you want to tell me, you won't, I don't like the Seattle offense. Tyler Lockett went for $4. Okay, like, Christian Kirk went for, like, $13. Like, I mean, I can go through this list, like, all day. Jarvis Landry went for $1. Let's see, who else? Amari Cooper went for $10. Hunter Renfrow went for $12. The DK Metcalf went for $13. What I'm trying to instill is, like, I'm not trying to be patronizing, but, like, for as good as you are at getting the running backs, it's kind of, like, given away when you do this thing with the receivers where you just get you get too cute. You should, when, instead of just, like with Sarah, I said going for, like, the singles when she's getting, like, oh, Naheem Hines and Kenneth Walker and Dallas Goedert and Tyler Boyd. Like, why wouldn't you just take someone like Van Jefferson, who's a free agent right now? Van Jefferson is the slot receiver for the Rams. They're one of the pass-heaviest offenses. If Kupp or Allen Robinson, who has an injury history, miss time, Van Jefferson's an automatic starting top 20 receiver. Why would you waste your time with guys like Gage or Burks or like Dotson, like Carson Wentz? Like, Gage is fighting for the number 3 position on the Bucs. Like, Burks isn't even in the starting lineup. Like, I get London, because at least you can make the argument that he's the number 1. You got him at a good deal for $5. The history of top 10 receivers drafted is very good. Even if I don't love the offense he's in and the situation, I I can't disagree with the deal. So at least with London, I get it, and like Lazard, like I kind of see it. You're betting on the situation more than the player, whereas you're betting on the player more than the situation with the other ones. And Schultz isn't bad, but I just wish you would take more upside. And please don't try to sell me. It's like, oh well, I took these upside rookie receivers. You did not. If that's your argument, you didn't do the research. I'm sorry, and I can call you out on that, and I know that. Like Brandon Ayuk, for example, was a top 15 receiver in the last 8 weeks of last year. He went for $5, and you took Treylon Burks for $5, and you still had $9 left over. You didn't do the research. So, for as much research as you do on the running backs, I'm surprised that you overlook the receivers. All of that being said, I'm not trying to be patronizing. You're going to take this badly, but it's fine. I still think your team's an elite team. If Brian is my favorite, I still think you're around the same level. I think you're around the same level as Sarah just because the running backs are all very good. So I'm going to give you a B+. Even with how much I dislike the receivers, I think you'll be able to like piecemeal it together and kind of figure it out. I would even say your team is better than mine because like what am I going to do with Brian Robertson now out? It sucks and it's sad, but like hell, I have Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas went for $2. Like really? Like you want Treylon Burks for $5 and not Michael Thomas for $2? $2. Like those are exactly the kind of upside players you ought to be taking because if you hit a home run on that upside receiver, then your season's made because your running backs are so good. But you get too cute and you take like these guys with like no upside, and I don't understand. I don't know why. It was just a complete waste of money. If you don't believe me on Treylon Burks, go on Twitter, watch some film, watch some anything, man. Like I'm begging you. Treylon Burks is bad. Like I'm telling you, he is bad. He wasn't good when he was at Arkansas. They shouldn't have drafted him in the first round. George Pickens got drafted in the second round by the Steelers. He is better than Treylon Burks. He will be better this year. He will be higher. He will get more offensive rookie of the year votes than Treylon Burks will. I guarantee it. That's how little I believe in Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is not good. I don't know why you did this. So, yeah. At least you have something to hang your hat on, though. Stefan kind of imitated your draft. So you obviously have someone who really believes in what you do. And to be fair, you won the championship the year before, and he came in second last year. So there is obviously something to what you do. Drafting running backs works very effectively. I would say he didn't do as good a job of picking the right running backs as you did. I question Cooks. The other ones I like a lot, though. But at the same time, I question your picks with the receivers because, like, I don't get it. Like, there were just better deals. There were better deals on other receivers that you could have used the money on. Like, you had $9 left over we could have spent on things. Like, Kadarius Toney went for $8. Kadarius Toney was like a top 5 receiver for like 5 weeks last year, just like Elijah Moore, and we just totally ignored him. So we could take Treylon Burks. Like, it pisses me off. So, anyway, that's all I got to say. B+, just like Sarah, you're one of my top 4 or 5 teams. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Please get rid of Treylon Burks. Thank you.